If you're talking sports, it's the matchup. Mickey here with Zizzy, yo, we cutting it up. Just a couple athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is, the Mickey Zizzy podcast. What's going on, everybody? Season 4, episode 11, the big 1-1, double ones, because we're both number one. You know, sometimes we can share that role. Coming at you sideways, and we are getting close to football season. Going to be talking a lot about that, some divisional previews, some fantasy talk. You know, I mean, some previous champions here. You know, going to give you some advice, but of course, this is the Mickey Zizzy podcast brought to you by Pinnacle Supplementation, www.pinnaclesup.com. Go ahead, get your free merch by using the Mickey Zizzy code when you get any purchase. I'm talking like great supplements. I'm talking the protein powder that I use on a daily basis. I'm talking like it's not just something we promote, it's something we use in our daily lifestyle. Go ahead, get your supplement and wellness needs at Pinnacle Supplementation, pinnaclesup.com. Also, our man Grant Anderson, not a guy that has just been on interviews, not the guy that is just killing 1v1 tournaments. I believe there's another one that was here in the home state of Florida that is starting either like right now or might have been last week. I got to check up on the page. Not gonna lie. But check our man out, Grant Anderson, G for 3 on YouTube and most of the social media. So, Mickey, what's up?
Yep. Happy Saturday, and let's have a donut. After this debate, all the doors will be shut. I got a feeling inside my bones that after today, ESPN will be hitting up my phones. We are here on the Mickey Zizzy. Now crank that sound up and let's get busy. Come on, talk to me nice. We're back with the rhymes. And I said, go grab yourself a donut. Let's eat.
Hey, it is Donut Saturday. We can never forget that. We can never forget. Now, I have transitioned from donuts today. I got cinnamon rolls in the oven as we speak. I'm telling y'all, I got to take a break in T-minus 12 minutes. I got a 20-second run to the oven. It's coming. It's going to happen live on the stream. But, you know, just trying to show love to the roomies. We're gonna have some big cinnamon rolls. Hint, y'all didn't know, throw heavy whipping cream. I mean, you can do regular if you want, but throw whipping cream around the cinnamon rolls before you put them in the oven. Makes them fluffier, makes them bigger. Just letting y'all know. All right. Talk to me, bud.
It's gonna be a great episode. Sorry, the allergies are acting up this morning because I feel like in the mornings I get too excited and the nose starts freaking out. But no, for real, go hit a Pinnacle Supplementation. New tip: strawberry milk. It's different. That vanilla.
I was actually, I know we talked about it, but when you sent it, I was pretty hyped. That has to taste so good.
Try it out. Yeah, G for 3 is absolutely balling right now. If you look on Showtime, there's gonna be the OBL, Tracy McGrady's OBL show. Well, it's gonna become a show, and Grant's gonna be featured on that. So that's super cool. And y'all, we're just gonna get down and get busy. We're gonna talk a lot of football, talk your fantasy, because I know a lot of people are thinking about fantasy drafts, all this and that. But we always have to start off with our Mark Mason person of the week. Mr. Zizzy, who you got?
Woo! The person of the week goes to my man Sean at Dunklin Memorial Church. I actually don't know his last name. It was actually just
John
the guy
Church.
that I met. Yeah, just a guy that I met over the phone. Got some stuff going on with with certain family members, and just trying to get them in the right direction. And so there's basically it's a rehab, sober living type of facility, just trying to help somebody out. And he was able to like hear me out, hear my story, a family member's story, and kind of go through everything and get us in the process of just having them take that first step, getting them in the facility, and just like really making us all feel comfortable and making us all feel like they're in a better place and being able to take the right steps they need to just live a better, healthy lifestyle. And just, I mean, obviously help the entire family. So just looking forward to that. And it was just a really big help, big weight off of some of our shoulders, and just, we appreciate it. And like, I didn't know much about places like that, but it was definitely really good to feel comfortable being able to like walk out of there, not thinking like, okay, it's just another number at a facility or something like that. Like, no, like this is a caring program that actually will give you the help and support that you need. So happy for that. Shout out my man Sean.
Sean, awesome. That's good. Bringing those positive vibes and treating you like a person. We obviously love that. And hopefully, all things go well down that way. we're going to shift over to my person of the week. I kind of want to bring up Justin Fatro, but he was last week because Tanzania, they've updated their stuff. We'll talk about all that later on. Go check out those socials.
You're
Right.
sick.
I want to shout out a few other people, but you know what? I want to keep it in the family. I shout out Pops, Father Hines, my father.
And he followed the rules.
It is awesome to see him so happy and being the camp host. They're in the works of possibly getting a new RV, so that's a new camper. That's always exciting. They're moving up. They're getting bougie with it.
Okay.
They live out there for 7 months and just run the campground for Palisades, which is absolutely awesome. Just shout out for kind of conquering a dream and living it up every day.
Absolutely, man. And like honestly, I'd be so down for like the cross country road trip style, like on the road type of living. Like you upgrade and get me an RV, I'm telling you, I'm going. I'm going. So I know I mean and I mean shout out to Pal, man. Shout out to Pal. I absolutely miss that stuff.
Oh yeah. So as you saw from the title of this video, we're gonna be talking our top fantasy running backs. You already know I was a running back. I'm super stoked for this. Got some feelings about who's gonna be in my top five, etc. We do kind of have a top five list, non top five, but it is a top five. That's probably what will happen here at the end of this segment. But I think we both agree on the first one. We typically do this on the show, but when you have the dudes, you can agree. And at first, I did not want to do it. He's injury prone. He doesn't play that much, but he's a dog. Everyone's putting him at number one. So, I can't be upset because he's going to ball in the system. Christian McCaffrey.
All right, yeah, okay. We're fine.
Not your number
We
one?
are. No, we are. No, we're on the same
Okay.
page. We're on the same page. There's not like I don't know. There's obviously the big question marks when it comes to him over the past few seasons, especially coming into last season. Like you said, the injuries that stacked up. He's a workhorse.
Exactly.
Everyone talks about the curse of going north of 300 carries, and he's doing it every single year.
Yep.
I get all that. But he is an absolute game changer when you talk about just actually stepping on the field. This is a guy that is guaranteed 25 fantasy points anytime that he's going to be in the lineup and plays an entire game. And then obviously we had the big trade last year where you transition from the Carolina Panthers, a team that's in a rebuild, which I expect to be even better this season, but still, like they're in a rebuild. They don't have a great offensive line in front of them. They ask him to do a lot of the work. Everybody game plans for him. Whereas you now go to San Francisco, they have a bunch of playmakers. They have a system where you have to defend the system. You can plug and play a lot of different people. He just happens to be an all-time elite player at the position. Now you have the offensive line in front of you. We saw what he did in half a season with him last year. I don't expect them to be any worse. I will say I was a little bit cautious to throw him at one because I'm just nervous about the quarterback situation in general. Obviously, Brock Purdy coming off an injury, Trey Lance coming off an injury, Sam Darnold is now in the lineup. Like we don't know exactly who's going to be starting for the first few games this season. And that makes you worry about them.
But that's going to help out the run game. They're going to probably run the ball more.
Well, they'll rely on him more, but at the same, that's where it's like I fear it falls into the same trap as Carolina, where people just kind of game plan for the run. The difference in San Francisco is there's talent around him. So, like, you have a Deebo Samuel still, who's a hybrid all-time athlete. You have a better offensive line. Like, yeah,
you have George Kittle for those 5 yards, easy reach.
Exactly.
All right, like I'm gonna take my hitch here real quick, or my comeback.
Yeah. And because of that, I just think it wasn't going to be as bad of an impact, and just it's Christian McCaffrey. Like I said, it's 25 minimum if he's going to be in the starting lineup. So you have to go with him.
The only thing that I was really away from was the injury. You always hate when you draft your first guy, like, all right, here we go, and then he gets hurt, and your season's pretty much at a standstill, and you got to make trades all the time. And this is going away from my number 2 on my fantasy top running back list, but he's such a weapon at the receiver, and you kind of want a receiving back. I mean, if you really wanted to in San Francisco, you can put Christian McCaffrey in the slot, and you're going to be A-okay. And, excuse me, he gets a ton of action. He gets a ton of reps, a ton of percentage of the ball. So on your fantasy team, you want that. I totally agree. He might average 25, right? When you see someone on the other team that they got Christian McCaffrey, like, all right, this is going to be a tough week. Like, I know that running back's going to bring everything. So, I mean, he's a staple for number 1.
Yeah, and I mean, like you brought up a great point with the receiving stuff. I mean, the game itself, right? The NFL is transitioning. It's a pass-happy league.
Yep.
Receiving backs are really important.
Less injuries.
You don't really see a lot of traditional three-down backs anymore. McCaffrey can be that, and he has a 92.6 receiving grade. It's by far the best out of all the running backs in the league. I mean, it makes sense. You're going to be able to use him in all facets of the game.
My number two, second person on my list where you draft this guy, you're gonna be A-okay. So you're down there in the first round, like pick up this guy. Derrick Henry. Famous guy once said, give him his flowers, or he's gonna be the champion until told otherwise. But Derrick Henry is such a man amongst boys. I understand he's getting up there in age, and the Tennessee Titans really don't have anything. That's why I have him at number two. Yes, teams are going to game plan for him. He's still getting 1,000-yard season with everyone knowing that Derrick Henry is the face of this franchise. Get him on your team. He's going to get you a solid 15 to 20. Like, he's going to be consistent, and he's going to have those games where he pops off and wins you a week. And it's not going to be just 1 week. It's going to be multiple weeks. He can win you 5 games in a season. I really think so. Obviously, you got to have a better team around him, but he is the focal point. He is going to be the guy. I mean, I don't even know who their quarterback is going to be this year. I totally forget, if I'm being honest, because it just don't matter, because Derrick Henry is the face of this franchise. He's going to get all the short down distance. He's still going to be stiff arming people into the upside down. It don't matter. Yank. Derrick Henry's my number two. Love him. He was my
I love him to death, and I mean, I will never disrespect Derrick Henry's talent. I'm going to disrespect him where I have him on this list right now, though. I don't know if he's in the top 5 this season. I don't know if he is.
a guy who's a state like the best
He's a
running back.
staple.
Like running back.
I have him at 5. I
Okay,
have
let's see
him
who makes
at
the
5.
list.
He makes the list, but it is a tight race for him to make that list, and it is literally just like you said. I know they game plan for him every year, but they haven't. Again, they have not done enough or done really much to add anything around them. I haven't seen a free agency move that makes you like, okay, there's something to take the attention away from Derrick Henry. The guy's still getting old. Like, time is undefeated, especially when it comes to a running back position. I know we don't like to hear that, but it is undefeated. And you can't continuously take 300, 350 carries. I mean, we've now seen him with back-to-back seasons with injuries and actual decent amount of missed games. It's going to wear him down. Now, when he's on the field, you're 100% right. All time, absolute legend, beast, can't go down on one tackle. He's going to get you 75 yards minimum. I get that. But I have to worry about, if you're going to worry about the injury bug with CMC, I'm starting to worry about it with Derrick Henry, and for the fact that they're not like other teams that have other things or other pieces they've added. It's just not there.
Oh, Brassel.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I really do. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna trust that even if he plays 15 to 14 games, I still think he is a staple to have on your fantasy football team. Now, that's why I have Christian McCaffrey, because the team itself is not all focused on Christian McCaffrey, but bring it on, Donkey Kong. I like Derrick Henry. You have him as 5, kind of disrespectful. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I understand. Like, I'm not gonna say that's such a dumb take, because
And like I said, I hate
I'm a
that
little biased with this
moving
one.
down the list, but it's just you have to be reasonable. I mean, I still saw what he did when he was on the field last year, so that's why I have to keep him in the top 5. But it's, again, the being on the field issue and the game plan issue. It worries me after 4 seasons in a row of it. Like, after some point, you would think the NFL is going to learn something.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. Cinnamon rolls. Woo! Let's go, baby.
So I'm going to talk while he goes make some cinnamon rolls. I will go on to my tangent and then see what he has to say. My next running back is going to be Josh Jacobs. Now, if you look at a lot of these other channels, podcasts, they're going to say Josh Jacobs is one of the dudes, and I think I totally agree. When you have the Raiders with, whoever their quarterback's going to be this year, I should have done my quarterback checking. Josh Jacobs still gonna be the focal point. He still can have great receiving yards. He just gets yards and he gets points and he gets touchdowns. Jimmy G is gonna be that quarterback. Just came to me. And if we saw from what Jimmy G did at San Francisco, they ran the ball a whole lot. So Josh Jacobs is still gonna be the focal point of this offense. kind of like the Derrick Henry situation, but Josh Jacobs is a little bit younger. He's gonna not get as he is not as injury prone yet. I think Josh Jacobs, you can feel safe in your fantasy lineup when you see his name next to RB1. I just told him all about Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I heard the JJ reference. I mean, I love Josh Jacobs when you're coming off of a season when you're leading the league in all-purpose yards. Again, you got to believe that you're going to kind of have some sort of repeat success, especially when the defenses are going to always be worried about Devontae Adams. I mean, you have him, but again, not sure what else they necessarily have added.
Yeah, I said they got Jimmy G. I almost forgot.
They add Jimmy G and replace Derek Carr, which I mean, however you want to look at it, kind of a wash if you ask me. And then you get rid of Darren Waller. So they no longer have Darren Waller. I mean, I'm not saying that the guy isn't going to produce. I'm not going to expect him to lead the league in all time in all purpose yards this year. But I mean, to have him top five, I respect it. I personally don't, but I respect it.
Really, I mean, just from his last season's success, I guess you could say he's the Jonathan Taylor of this year. That would be the only thing. Like, okay, but I still have a lot of faith in Josh Jacobs. He was a solidified like flex RB2 for me because he fell in a lot of those fantasy drafts I had last year, and I absolutely loved it. Hopefully that happens again. I think that's why I have him so high is because I had a lot of success with him. Not at my RB1. Like I got him late. He was my RB2/flex. Like I moved him around in the
If
lineup.
you're talking value, running back value, I would have him in the top three on this list because I think he's going to drop again. Is basically what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think that his talent is going to be there. I don't think he's going to lead the league all-purpose yards, but I think he's going to be in that top five range, especially if he has that same workload. The man's a hard runner. He's been that way since Alabama. I mean, I love his play. I love his style. I love how much he's going to be fed the ball. They're going to try and follow up on his success from last season. I think he's going to be a running back that's going to be available later on, just because he doesn't give you there's name value, like
Oh,
name.
100%. Yeah.
He doesn't have that same appeal as some of these other guys. I'm just
And
saying.
the Raiders aren't successful. No one
And
really
the
wants
Raiders aren't as
last leading Raider on
successful.
their team. So I get you. I get you. I'm
So
so
I actually have Josh Jacobs at number 8.
okay. Next up,
Oh, so to fill you because you went what 2, 3, so I guess I can
I went
follow up
one, two,
here.
three. Usually,
Yeah. So for two, again, we talk about receiving backs. We talk about PPR leagues. I think most fantasy leagues nowadays are PPR, so point per reception. Um, Austin Eckler. And I just again we talked about it when we were talking about the quarterbacks and we were talking about Justin Herbert's success and now having Kellen Moore and having more of an offense that opens things up. I now think that he only elevates his pass ability. I know that people can talk about his happiness levels, whatever, being on the team, asking for a trade last season at one point. It's Austin Eckler. The man's going to show up to play. He can still run the ball just as I mean, he's had his 4 touchdown rushing game still last season. Like it's not that he can do both sides of the ball, and they're only going to elevate his passing game. I think that his stats are going to be the same thing, if not better. And he's been top 3 the last 3 years. He's been a top 3 touchdown machine the last 3 seasons. Why not let that success continue?
I don't hate that. And surprisingly, I don't have him in my top 5. I have him at number 6. That'd be pretty wild to a lot of people. But if you look at these first like 6 to 7 running backs, like they are dogs. They're gonna get you points. Like you need one of these guys on your team for you to have a successful fantasy season, right? If you see those top receivers go, or that tight end or that quarterback go, and you're at the end of that first round, like you need to pick up one of these 7 guys. A lot of leagues are 6, 8, 10, 12. Like one of these dudes should fall, and Austin Eckler is definitely a dude you kind of wish would fall, even early second round, because they're going to try to get the big names. So I feel like Austin Eckler still hasn't got enough fame, enough, word to his name for his seasons, but he is the prime receiving running back. Justin Herbert's going to try to have an even better year. We talked about it, Herbert Sherbert, on the last episode. So he's going to try to earn it. They got more weapons. So Austin Eckler is going to be sometimes forgotten about in that passing game. I think that's going to be so lethal, right? And he is the prime receiving running back. And I'm kind of going against my word about like PPR and about the running backs. I just like the dudes I have in my top 5. But like I'm easily can be convinced that Austin Eckler can move up. Like I totally support anyone who has that opinion because I like Austin Eckler. Some of the off the field issues, not like, he's doing bad things, but like you said, the relationships, the happiness on the team. But dude is a dog. He is a workhorse. I listened to a few things that he was on. He's actually an awesome guy. But that's kind of my two
Quentin
cents about.
Johnston gets added to the offense, and you can look at that however you want. You can look at that as, oh, it's targets getting taken away from him. To me, I'd look at that as another weapon that the defense has to account for and taking more pressure off of him. But again, that's just me trying to make a point for him to move him up. I think that he's just been that PPR staple. And yeah, you gotta show me that he's getting removed,
That was your three?
That was two.
Two. That was your second.
Three. Yeah, CMC and then Eckler.
Oh, snap. Who's your three?
Chubb. Nick Chubb.
Okay, I have him at 4, so.
Yeah, Nick Chubb. To me, it's just like every single year he proves you wrong, right? Like the guy has never posted a rushing grade for a season under 80. Like, I mean, it's just facts. I mean, last year's rushing grade is over 90. It was 90.7, I want to say. He's an absolute physical specimen. You don't see him go down from one tackle. I'm one of the people that believes that Deshaun Watson and the rest of the offense improves around him. Kareem Hunt's a free agent, so there's nobody else taking away his snaps. I mean, this is the guy. He is the 3 down back in Cleveland. And it's the guy that for the last 3 seasons, everyone everyone recognizes his talent. Everyone knows how good Nick Chubb is, but nobody seems to give him that same type of flowers as I would say you and I might. The guy is for 3 straight seasons finished well above his yards expected. They do rankings where like your yards expected for the season. Last year he was 300 yards over expected rushing yards. Like he's blowing numbers out of the water, and people are saying he's on a decline. He's on a decline. With the way that the offense is set up to take the pressure off of him and open things up, he might have an even better season this year. It's hard to say and it's hard to tell because you just never know how great or how long a running back's prime is. But I mean, he's been doing it for 3-4 seasons. And the same thing you kind of talk about with Derrick Henry. It's kind of that same effect. Like consistency is key. It's the motto for the podcast, man. Like until he shows me he's fallen off, I'm gonna believe in him to continue doing that.
You said all the points I was going to bring up. I have him at 4. I hate saying that Deshaun Watson and that offense is going to be better, but Watson's going to be there. He actually played a season, so now we can actually see some growth as him as a quarterback. And like that'll change up the offense to get less pressure on. So I totally agree with Zizzy on that point. And Nick Chubb is a dog. I mean, you just look at like Yank was saying, it was not being taken down. It's scoring the football. With this new offense, I do think they score more points, and Nick Chubb is going to be a part of that because they don't have an RB2. You have that Christian McCaffrey, which I know San Francisco has a few other running backs, but like the Derrick Henry. You don't know who RB2 is in Tennessee. Now that's going to be happening in Cleveland. He's going to be the guy now as their injury risk because he's going to be taking on more responsibilities, more reps, more carries in a football game. Maybe, but I think Nick Chubb, definitely from what I've seen and heard about him, very calm, cool, collected guy, doesn't talk that much, and he's going to put in the work and try to give his best every day. So I love Nick Chubb at 4. Nick Chubb is one of those guys where you see on the list, you're like, do I pick him up at number 1? And you're later in the first round in those fantasy drafts, pick him up. You're not going to be too upset with Nick Chubb at your RB1 slot all the time. Now, I've seen some drafts where he falls like round 2 because it's a receiver-heavy league season this year. That would be money if you could somehow finesse that. But end all be all, pick up Nick Chubb. He is the dude. I think he's going to have a great season again. Maybe not as great, but because of maybe an injury that keeps him out for 2 weeks or, just the ground and pound of running the football and with Cleveland Browns not being like that talented. So pick Nick Chubb up on fantasy. Now, as we wait for Mr. Yankovic to get back into the podcast, make sure you go check out Pinnacle Supplementation. They just got new shorts, workout shorts. Go check it. Got to visit with them over the Bags tournament. They did not repeat, so that is due sad. But go check out Pinnacle Supplementation. And we are back with Mr. Chef Boy Ari Zizzy. I was just talking about Nick Chubb. You got to draft him. That offense is going to be different. they're going to be scoring more points, etc. So I got my Nick Chubb takeout.
Absolutely. And then, so yeah, and you had him at 4, I had him at 3. So,
Those are
and
the
then
four.
from there, I was transitioning, and I think it's a newer name. As far as like when we're talking elite running backs, but I think this is the year he takes that step, and that is Tony Pollard of Dallas Cowboys.
I got him at 5. All right.
Hey, yeah, I've got him breaking the top 5 this season. I think this is his breakout year. And we talk about everyone talks about the Cowboys, right? No matter what they're going to do, they always seem to have a strong offensive line. If you watch them last year, and like people always talk about feeding Zeke, yes, on the goal line, he's a monster. There's a reason why he has north of 10 plus rushing touchdowns over the last couple seasons, regardless of his yardage production. But Tony Pollard was the number 1 running back. If you look at just overall production, usage, we're talking about use in the pass game. We're talking about actual yards per carry. The man averaged over 4.5 yards per carry last season. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. And now we're talking about them transitioning to an even more run heavy scheme. Mike McCarthy's the new play caller, right? And he's talking about slowing things down, time of possession, trying to make sure our defense is fresh and ready because they're by far one of the best units, if not the best unit in the NFL. That means run the ball. That means feed the man Tony Pollard. And I only see his usage going up. I see and we haven't seen Zeke be re-signed to them or anything. So we don't know exactly of anybody else that's going to be taking carries away at this point. I just think his numbers are going to be through the roof. And it's your first year to show out in Big D. America's team, everybody's ready to watch this. Like the stage is set. I think he has a big season.
I love Ezekiel Elliott, and I hate him leaving. I wish he'd come to Chicago. I know he's still a free agent, so my love for Ezekiel Elliott is still there. But Tony Pollard is fast. Dude can run the rock. He can catch a pass once in a while as well. And that Cowboy offensive line is still good. They still have their solidified Zach Martin, and who's the other guy? I'll talk about him later. On that offensive line. And then you talked about it, right? You're on America's team. Like this is your time to break out. I really hope fantasy owners do not look at Tony Pollard the same, like, oh, I haven't seen it yet. I can't pick him up because he hasn't proved it. Keep talking that talk because I want Tony Pollard to fall. I really hope this is a name that falls, but I know, and you know, like I want him in the second round, first round, third, like I know he probably won't fall to 3, but like if you can pick him up and maybe you go running back just to really solidify your running back room, sweet. I love Tony Pollard. He is at my 5. I think he does have a breakout year. Like he is like that running back duo was crazy good. But they did get rid of Ezekiel Elliott. Now they got Ronald Jones. Like Rojo's not bad from Tampa Bay a few years.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be good to help pick up some of those reps to help Tony Pollard not have to be the 3 down back like Nick Chubb is going to be next year. Rojo will get playing time. He's going to get playing time to help Tony Pollard, stay away from the injury bug. So all things are lining up for Tony Pollard to have a breakout season. I totally sign off on it.
Over the past 2 years, and he hasn't even been the specified number 1. Like everything's been shared between him and Zeke. Yep. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry over the last 2 seasons. Like I know I said 4.5 last year, but it's like 5.2 over the last 2 seasons. He's had a rushing grade of over 90 for the past 2 seasons. He has a yards per contact of just under 4 yards a carry, like over the past, like this guy has been building over the last couple of years to be the guy in Dallas. It's coming. It's coming if he can stay healthy. Of course, that's the big thing that we all talk about when it comes to running backs, but it's true.
Yes, it is. And that concludes my top 5, but you have your top 5, and we'll talk about the honorable mentions / the other people who are filling up your top 10 for top fantasy running backs. But who is your number 5?
I hate doing it. Right. And there's things that are still like subject to change depending on a couple free agents. I would love to see where they end up. Crazy to do it. Rookie.
No, stop.
I think he's gonna be that good, man.
Bijan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
No, I am never gonna put faith. I would never draft a rookie.
I'm not. Well, that's the thing though too. Is like that's fantasy running backs.
You are just one of the classic fantasy experts. You are vanilla. You are just doing what all the pros say. I don't want it.
Well, I'm also part of like Dynasty League, so I'm a little bit biased when it comes to that, just a little bit. But Um, I look at the scheme. I look at the fit. I mean, we're talking about Tyler Algier was having a 1,000 yard rushing season. Cordell Patterson in his older age is like been able to be a hybrid wide receiver running back, been dominant in that role. They still have him there. I mean, I see him being traded or released just for cap room or whatever else. But like we've been able to see these guys be successful in this offense. They've talked about being a run heavy scheme. He's going to be the featured back. Their line is absolutely incredible. I mean, they're the best, one of the best run protection lines in the league. And then there's not you like again, you're gonna look at the receivers around you. They have to respect Kyle Pitts. Drake London's gonna get looks now. I like how it's setting up for him. The guy was an all-time talent in college. I don't think that everyone's messing up when they talk about this guy's scout like from a scouting perspective. I do think he's going to be that great. I mean, it's like I said, it's very hard to just say it without ever seeing it. So I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not even gonna like come back at you for being upset about like don't do it with a rookie when there's other names out there. I trust it. That's why I said there's other names out there, and I want to see how some things kind of shake up. But I love the setup, man. This guy is set up for a prime start to his
The
career.
Falcons ain't gonna be nothing. Yes, they're in a bad
The
division.
Falcons are winning the division, if you ask me.
No, they're not. I still got Tampa or New Orleans, but I'll go. When we do, we're not going to do our NFC South.
Actually, well, it does depend on Desmond Ritter's success, but
Exactly.
I do love the Falcons this year. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't, Algier, I think he's still on the team. Like, you got to share carries with him. I know he's going to be a rookie. I know he's going to have some of those growing pains. And I'll be honest, like, if he's your RB2 and my draft value for him is going to be around 4 or 5. Like, if he's there for my RB2, I'll be like, all right, like, I can do that. I can get faith in the rookie. But there's no way on this God green earth I'm going to draft him as my RB1. No way. It's not going to happen. Right. I want a solidified guy at my RB1 who I know what they can do and that the team's actually halfway decent. I don't think the Falcons are going to win their division. Not at all. We weren't talking about that division today. But end all be all RB2, yes. If he falls, which is not going to happen because all the experts like Mr. Zizzy over here, vanilla guy, is projecting him to go super far. So, I mean, if you just want based off, if you're a projection drafter, go get Bijan. You'll be happy. Myself, not so much.
I get that. Like I said, I completely understand that. I just have to look at the situations, and that's where it gets murky for a lot of running backs across the league. I mean, there's a lot more talent in the pool, if you ask me, and at this position nowadays. But everybody's got a very different situation. There's a lot of running back by committees. There's not like if you're talking about those top select number ones, like he's going to be the guy. That's why I say that. Like I know that they still have Algier, but I mean it's specified. He's the number one guy.
No, it's still going to be shared. I think that's a 2 running back room.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move out some of our honorable mentions. Our 6s, our 7s. I had Austin Eckler 6. My 7 is actually Jonathan Taylor. He had one of the biggest drops ever. He was supposed to be the dude last year, but I think he comes back. I think Anthony Richardson does take a little pressure off of him. Everyone's been looking at him, trying to game plan for Anthony Richardson and not Jonathan Taylor. I think he still has a good year. Like, I don't think he's been hyped up as much, but like he can do it. We've seen him do it before. So I think he's definitely kind of a steal in those later rounds if you can somehow pair it up with some of those first 7.
I think he ends up dropping to a third or fourth this year. And if you snag him there, holy heck. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I am there. I'm just going to talk about my honorable mentions real quick. Etienne from
Really?
I like that running back room. I like the Jags. I'm hyping like you're hyping up the Falcons. I'm hyping up the
I'm
Jags.
all hype of the Jags, but it's more so like for the receivers and the quarterback.
Exactly, but that's the thing is like he's going to be the third, the fourth option when people are game planning when you're scouting for him, and he still can run the rock. I know he had an injury his first year in the league, but like he's grown. He's now not a vet, but like he's got playing time. He's got experience. That's only going to help him. I love Damian Pierce from Houston. They're going to have that rookie quarterback. I think that's a steal. And he had a successful season. I know that's how you won your league. I think you picked him up in some of them. I know they're super late one of yours, and I'm kind of hopping on that bandwagon. But like if you pick him late as an RB2, like Houston's not going to be a pass. They're not going to be a huge passing team with Bryce Young. But,
They got
hopefully.
CJ, so it's like they're fine. Yeah, so they're
And
we'll see
then
what happens soon.
with another young quarterback. Aaron Jones for the Green Bay Packers. I hate hyping up Packers, but Aaron Jones is a dude. Him and AJ Dillon do share reps, so that takes away his points because he doesn't score as many touchdowns. But he'll be a receiving back. He's going to be a check down guy for those younger quarterbacks. You want a younger quarterback with a running back so that you get those check downs that you want to run the ball more often. And Rodgers in there, so you know they're going to run the rock more. And then at my 10, I had Khalil Herbert just because I'm a Bears fan and like they were one of the top rushing teams in the league last year.
I would take Roshan before I take Khalil.
I hope so. I like Roshan. I do, but I think our running back room is not dominant, but it's something.
I can't have anybody from the Bears yet in the top 10, especially when your best running back is going to be your quarterback.
Justin Fields,
yeah, Justin Fields, baby, RB1. No, I mean, from there, after we were getting out of the top 5, I mean, I love a Saquon if he comes back and is going to play. We'll see.
Crazy. I don't even got him in my top 10.
Yeah, we'll watch. So we'll see what happens with his contract situation. I do also agree. I think Jonathan Taylor has his bounce back season. I'm big on the returning second years and some of the rookies, like I said, like Breece Hall coming back from
he's healthy.
injury. I hope he's healthy, and I know he's coming back off an injury, but God, was he electric. And now put him back in an offense with Aaron Rodgers, a little bit pass happy. He's a 3-down back. I like it. I like it. Damian Pierce, like you mentioned. DeAndre Swift switching teams, going to, I think he went to, is it Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah, Philly with Jalen Hurts combo. That's pretty electric, if you ask me. I also I love the Jahmyr Gibbs to Detroit. I know that's another rookie thing that we gotta wait.
The rookies.
You gotta wait and see, but it's just like you understand the scheme of certain teams and what they're trying to accomplish. And like Jared Goff is a big check down guy as well. There are a lot of short to intermediate routes. He's a big pass catching back as well as a runner. I like it.
Yeah, and I really am big on running backs this year. I might maybe go receiver just because there's a lot of prime receivers, like tier 1 receivers. But my typical strategy, I'll let people know, I always go with the running back. I try to get my solidified running back there. I think they can score points because receivers can kind of pop off or get more consistent higher points. Sometimes those running backs are hard to have that consistency of good points. But any other running backs you want to talk about here in the top running backs of fantasy?
I just things to like keep an eye on, right? Like where's Dalvin Cook gonna end up? Like where's he gonna end up?
He was the top running back last year. We talked about it. You know how mad I got, but like he's not on our team, so I can't put him on my fantasy.
I get that. So like that, and then on top of that, like his replacement, like Alexander Mattinson balled every time that he stepped in to start. Like I'm not saying that he's gonna be a top tier elite, but like definitely a solid running back too.
I think you could get him at a flex too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like that's where I mean, like the talent pool runs a little bit deeper. There is some people that you can get later on that'll still provide value. But if you're talking those top elite guys, like I said, got to kind of pay attention to Dalvin Cook. Is Joe Mixon going to have another huge year? I don't know.
We're bringing up a lot of these guys, and you're right. There, I think we do have. I know I'm kind of going against my word, but there's the more names you bring up, I'm like, I'd be fine with Joe Mixon at my RB2, right? You want one of those 7 guys that we talked about to be your RB1, and like you cannot go running back now just based on some of those cats that you were talking about.
Yeah, so it's interesting for sure, but definitely some names to look out for, and we're getting closer, man. Getting closer. Start building your list.
I know, and if you listen to this episode, you have a darn good list. Hopefully, Joe Mixon falls. I know a lot of people like picking up early, but I know he's been having contract disputes or like wanting to get traded, kind of stuff like that. And wherever Dalvin Cook does go, it'll be interessante.
Yeah, for real.
Now let's move on to our second and final segment of this episode 11 of the Mickey's Zizzy podcast. We're going to be talking about the preview for the NFC East, the NFC Beast, the NFC Least, however you want to name it this year. And Yank, I am very, very positive that my prediction is going to be like 99.9% right. And I'm stoked for it. We are going to start off, I am going to start this off with a no-brainer. My Super Bowl prediction winner, the Philadelphia Eagles at number 1.
You got him winning the Super Bowl?
I mean, that's my way too early prediction if the Bears aren't going to win it, because obviously I'm going to be hyping them up. But like, if I'm a betting man, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. They are primed for it. They are young, but their young guys aren't just young; they have the NFL experience, which I'm going to break down the entire team. And on paper, they are the best team. On paper, statistically, they are one of the best teams. They fell very, very short, and that's even more motivation for them to go ball out. Yank, where is Philadelphia on your list?
I mean, I got them winning the division. I do
Yeah.
think I do think that they're going to win the division. I do think they'll repeat, and I think they have a great shot at making a run at another Super Bowl. I don't know. I think that it's so hard to pick nowadays that man's got to think. I don't even know if I have too early predictions anymore. Um,
You've been
I
what?
know I've been hot with it
Oh, nice.
last year. Last year I lost finally, but still, either way. But I mean, it's the NFC East, right? It's been 18 consecutive seasons without a repeat champ. The last team to do that, the Eagles back in 2001 to '04. I think they did it 3 years in a row. I think that was the Donovan McNabb years. But again, I think they're returning most of their roster. 14-3 a season ago. Jalen Hurts on his new deal. I mean, 5 year, 255. He knows he's got to go out and show out now. He's on his revenge tour after losing in the Super Bowl. Like we saw him after losing to Tom Brady in the playoffs. Like year 3 starts today. We already talked about this exact thing in the quarterbacks for fantasy, but I think it's a big revenge year. I think year 4 is even another step in the right direction. We talked about them adding DeAndre Swift. You adding a couple more weapons around you. We already know about AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Like we get it. We know what he's going to bring to the table. I'm excited about that. And then even the players they lost, right? Because they lost good players. They were able to replace them with people that I'm either very excited for or have all the most confidence in already. And I think that's big time. I mean, we're talking about like Javon Hargrave. That's a big name to lose from your roster. But you're gonna replace him with Jalen Carter, who some people thought was the number 1 overall pick. He just fell because of his situation.
Yep.
Chauncey Gardner Johnson, another big time defensive back. But you go and you draft Sidney Brown out of Illinois. I mean, that's big time. That's big time. Marcus Epps is gone, but you get Terrell Edmonds. I mean, that's another big time replacement. Nakobe Dean. I mean, these guys are literally reviving the Georgia defense. Like I love the Georgia roots. Like they proved it that they were the best defense in college football history. Why not bring that same energy to the NFL? I really do love that. And then again, you lose Miles Sanders, but you're going to add DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny to replace him. Oh, okay. All right, fine. Cool with me. So I just think there's a lot of positives going in their direction. I do believe that they end the curse, and they have one of the best rosters on paper, and they have the willpower, the quarterback to do it. So
Duh. They're going 14-3 again. That's my prediction for them. Jalen Hurts might have an MVP season. I mean, he is primed for it. He's at that right age, the right experience for him to go do so. And like if he does get hurt, they got Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota was he's on quarterback on Netflix. He was a back. I mean, he was a starter
great
last.
show up.
So yes, it is. Shout out to them. But like that's be a great backup if Jalen Hurts goes down. Like he still can win ball games. Marcus Mariota with this offensive weapons can easily win ball games. Now, will they win the Super Bowl? I don't know. But will they win the division with Marcus Mariota? Yes. I mean, that's me saying Jalen Hurts is out, right? DeAndre Swift. It don't matter who the running back is. They got Gainwell still. They talk about Rashad Penny, right? They have a 3 to 4 running back room that is great. And that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna filter, keep their dudes fresh. And that's gonna be scary. You talk about those weapons. I know we're just name calling, but it's so true. Like Devontae Heisman Smith. Last year, he's going into his second year. He was a 1,100-yard receiver with 7 touchdowns. Okay. He's wide receiver 2, Yank. Wide receiver 1 is AJ Brown, who's going into his 5th season, 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. That was his best season of his career because he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. And he gets to repeat it with all the same pretty much coaches. I don't know what they'll see, but Nick Sirianni is right back. Like, okay. That's fine. They're just running it back. That's why I'm hyping up the Philadelphia Eagles so much.
Year 3 of the system as well. Like I'm with you on that. Like it's always consistency.
And I've been saying a bunch of names, but like Dallas Goedert, top 5, top 10 tight end in the league. Yeah, he's the vet in the locker room. Yeah, 700, 300, 3 touchdowns. Like that's great. You don't need to do that much. Offensive line is led by Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson. Like, yeah, they're old, but those are the dudes who you want leading that offensive line. And then you talked about that Georgia defense. It's pretty much Eagles, right? Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith. They all young and they are all biting at the bit because they have a Georgia championship ring in college. They want to add a Philadelphia one. These are the dogs, no pun intended, that you want on your football team. I mean, Jordan Davis is the backup for Jalen Carter. They're mano-a-mano. They could, easily switch in and out. Nolan Smith is a backup. Are you kidding me, Yank? Like, they went and got those free agent pieces you were talking about. They have Josh Sweat. They're just such a young and good defense. Like I said, they're my Super Bowl pick. I won't make a jersey bet with them because I think I did last year, so I got to move on to a different team. But 1A is the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl. They're winning the NFC East. Easy.
Okay. All right. I thought you were about to say 1A for the division. I was going to be like, oh, you're going to throw them up there, huh? You think they're that good? But no, okay.
No, they're this division's not that good. I'm calling it right now.
Ooh, I disagree with that. I think it's a very competitive division.
All right. Who's your team who's coming in second?
I'm gonna go Cowboys. I think you have to based on roster. Based on roster, I'm gonna go Cowboys. I think they're the main competition to the Eagles in the division, possibly the main competition to the Eagles in the conference. When you're talking about a team on paper, you can't deny the names. It's the same thing we say every year with the Cowboys. It's the same reason why I won't pick them to win the division or go to the Super Bowl because they will find a way to lose at the end of the year. However, when you're talking about this defense, I mean it. It is probably the number one unit. It is, if not top three. But to have Micah Parsons, to have Dan Quinn, like the system that he has created there, Trayvon Diggs, that like you're talking about chomping at the bit. Like these guys did everything and anything to win games last year down the stretch, and they got let down by Dak throwing interceptions or time management or whatever you guys want to call it. This year, they're going to now try and transition it to more of a run game. It sounds like, which I'm here for. They have the offensive line, they have Tony Pollard, they have the talent to do so. Keeps Dak's turnovers down. You go and add Brandon Cooks. To me, that's a true number 2 receiver behind CeeDee Lamb. I think that's great for a number 2 receiver. You have Michael Gallup, who's now going to be healthy for the first time in a couple seasons. Full off-season workout. I love him as the number 3. I mean, it's names upon names upon names. At some point, you expect that to produce. I don't think it ends up with the division championship, but I do think that this team can win 12 games.
I'm going 10-7, Yank. I think they do. I think they're going to be a solid wild card team. But here are the things that are drawing me away. Yes, CeeDee Lamb is the dude, 1,300 yards for 9 touchdowns. Like, I get it. CeeDee is the guy. You have that defense, which they have a defensive player of the year candidate, Micah Parsons. I love Trayvon Diggs. They got Mozzie Michigan Smith. Like, he's a rookie. Is he going to ball fill in? DeMarcus Lawrence is getting up there in age, right? He's not going to have any 2017, 2018 seasons, right? But he's still going to be that leader on defense, right? I get all that. So their defense, I don't think it's going to be the best defense in the league, but I think it's going to be up there for like top 5. Like, I don't think they're going to be number 1, but that's going to help them out. But it's all going to be up to Dak. And I do not mean to jump off the Dak Prescott wagon. I know I was hyping him up to get that contract extension, but you went and got your contract extension. I understand injuries were there as well, but time is ticking, my guy. You had 23 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. That is awful. That is why the Cowboys were not good last year. 2,800 yards passing, right? A year ago, when he was trying to get paid 4,400 yards, 37-10 touchdown interception ratio. Like, that's a huge drop off, Yank.
I mean, but can you compare? He missed half the year.
But look at the touchdown to interception ratio, right? You missed.
I get that. That's where I say the turnovers are an issue. The turnovers are an issue.
So, and I think their wide receiver room can improve. I do not like Brandon Cooks, right? He had 700 yards for 3 touchdowns. I don't like that as a wide receiver too. This league, you need 2 solidified. We've talked about the Eagles, right?
Who was he playing for?
Houston, right?
Yeah.
He was wide receiver 1. You should have more than that. You should be close to 1,000.
Who was their quarterback?
It didn't matter.
My goodness. He can't throw the ball to himself.
And you said you're hyping up Gallup. Yeah, injuries, 424 and 4 touchdowns. I'm not liking it. I didn't prove anything. You know who I do like? Turpin, the 5'9", 153-pound speedster who returns a lot of kicks for Dallas. I think you should throw him in the slot. Give him more playing time. That'd be my professional advice to Coach McCarthy. I see him going 10-7. I'll maybe give you 11 wins, but I think Dak is going to lose some of those games. I think there's just better teams in the NFL. But I think
Fine, that's fine. I'm not saying there's not better teams in the NFL, but in the NFC, it's bare to none that are going to be able to compete with the Eagles. And it just happens that the Cowboys are in the same division as them. I see them as that guy. I mean, Brandon Cooks not as a number 2 receiver. I don't know what you're thinking when you're talking about that. He's got yes, absolutely. And then when you're talking about it is going to come down to Dak, and it comes down to the turnovers. But that was almost an anomaly. Like we had never seen him have double-digit turnovers before last season.
And I love, yeah.
So I'm saying if he does that again, there's an actual problem. But to me, I'm gonna treat that as an anomaly. I think he's better rebounds this year. And like I said, if they're gonna change the scheme up and focus a little bit more on the run anyway, you take the ball out of his hands and prevent that issue. So.
And we forgot to talk about Tony Pollard and that running back room with Ronald Jones, etc. So I do think they're going to be a playoff team. It's not even close to winning the division. But let's move on. Who do you have? I am interested. This is where it gets spicy. Your number 3 team in the NFC East.
I mean, if Saquon Barkley doesn't show up, it doesn't matter. But I'm gonna go with the Giants in 3rd. I mean, let's be honest. All 3 of these teams made the playoffs last year, right? And regardless of what you want to say about the Giants, whether you thought
I'm going to say a lot.
I mean, I know that was a lot of one-score games. It's a big transition. It was a big jump last year. Yes, they end up getting crushed by Philly in the playoffs at the end of it all. But I mean, they made the playoffs. To me, they've only positioned themselves to improve. I mean, as long as again, this is all depending on Saquon Barkley showing up, and we don't know what's going to happen with his contract right now. We don't know if he's going to sign the franchise tag. We don't know if they're going to offer him what he wants. We just don't know. But he shows up. They've added Darren Waller. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. They draft an upgrade at center. Schmitz Jr. from Minnesota. I want to say, yeah, John Schmitz Jr. Minnesota. I love all that. You add Paris Campbell, who's kind of like one of those hybrid, like number 3, number 4 receivers, can do kind of everything, return kicks, all of that. I think that's all stuff to make you better. If not, and I mean, it's now another year of Daniel Jones under Brian Dable, and I think that he's an absolutely electric quarterback coach, offensive mind in general. We've been able to see what he did with Josh Allen. We saw the improvement in just 1 year for Daniel Jones. Now it's a year of consistency, which Daniel Jones hasn't had a lot in his career. They paid him. He's comfortable. He knows he's the guy. Go out and play. Go out and prove that you deserve that contract, even though a lot of us don't believe he did. I get what they were doing. They had to secure a quarterback, so let's just make sure that it was worth it. But the pieces that they've added around him and everything else, I think it's a step in the right direction.
Bad. I got no faith in the New York Giants. 3-14 is the record I am predicting.
3 wins?
3 wins.
You're insane. You're insane.
I gave you your time.
You're insane.
Now I go. Daniel Jones does not deserve the bag. 4-year, $160 million for your best season to be 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and 3,200 yards passing. Blasphemous. All right. 3 years ago, he had 11 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He had the same. He had a 1.0. What? No, not even. Right? Yeah, that's a 1.0 touchdown to interception ratio. All right. That was 3 years ago. 2 years ago, right? He had 10 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Yank. This is awful. We're not
arguing that. We're not even arguing.
I gave you your time, dangummet. My time. All right. Sure. You know what? New York, go pay him. Go have a terrible season so you can draft Caleb Williams pick number 1 next year. I think it is stupid. And that guy's going to lead you to a successful football season. Not a chance. All right. Oh, okay. Let's be even more stupid, New York. Don't pay your franchise player, the guy that sells jersey, right? And Saquon Barkley, 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns, and you don't want to re-sign the guy. Yeah, he's getting up there in age, but he's been balling. He's the guy that's putting people in seats on Sundays. Like, you got to be joking me. This is dumb, dumb, dumb. Like, he had his best season, and now you might not pay him like the contract he deserves. You're going to lose your best player. Thanks. Have fun getting that first round draft pick, getting Caleb Williams next year. Now, okay, Mr. Moneybag, like, you must have some pretty good receivers to throw to. All right. Darius Slayton, 700, 2 touchdowns. Meh, like, okay, as a wide receiver 2, you got Jalen Hyatt, which, it's kind of a toss-up. I think he could go be the wide receiver 1, but if you're having a rookie being your wide receiver 1, like, I don't think he's going to compete in the stellar defenses. They have to play these stellar defenses we just talked about twice. That's 4 games where Daniel Jones is going to get eaten up. There's your 4 losses right there. Isaiah Hodges is like their wide receiver 2, 392 and 4 touchdowns. Meh. Right? Paris Campbell, yeah, he said he was kind of nice. 602, 3 touchdowns. Meh. Right? Darren Waller.
Number 3. That's
Darren
fine.
Waller, he ain't gonna go win you games. He ain't gonna make Daniel Jones some prime time
Oh
quarterback.
my goodness.
Get that
So
out
much
of
hate. You are just mad
He's
at
gonna
the
hate.
Giants.
He is going to help out the bad wide receiver room, but he's 30 and he only played 9 games last year. He hasn't played all of the games except for 2 seasons, right? And that was since 2020. That's been 3 years ago. Yeah, he was great, but he is not going to be the guy that's going to transcend Daniel Jones into a good quarterback. He'll go get his. He will if he stays healthy. All right. So I like Darren Waller. I do, but there's some precautions when if he's going to be their lead receiver. I mean, second leading receiver, and that's going to be bad for him. All right, let's talk about their defense. Okay, maybe their defense is going to be a good yank. Okay. Dexter Lawrence at 7.5 sacks. They're on the D-line. Like, okay, that's all right. Kevin Thibodeau, upcoming star, 33 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Okay, like, I'll give you Thibodeau. I like Thibodeau. Bobby Uriki, he's nice, though. 99 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Like, consistency is key there. Shout out the podcast at linebacker. So, Bobby there. But their secondary is going to get cooked like you're at any restaurant in the United States of America. They're way too good at quarterbacks to let this New York Giants team, the secondary, be lethal. They're going to cook them up. This offense that I just talked about, it cannot hang with these other offenses due to that secondary. My prediction stands tall, and they got nothing on paper. It's a blank sheet.
I just don't understand.
Unless Saquon comes back, then, put Saquon's name big on there.
Okay. Well, obviously, everything is dependent on Saquon Barkley. And I agree with you when it comes to paying the man. He should be the one that have gotten paid the money over Daniel Jones. We're not arguing on that. I don't think that Daniel Jones.
So they're going to go get third in the division?
Yeah, and I didn't say that Daniel Jones deserved the bag. I said he had to prove that he deserves that. Like, but when you're looking at quarterback's the most important position in football. And after making the playoffs this past season, who were they going to get? There's nobody available, not at the position that they were going to draft at, not somebody that they would have had quality for the future. It's not worth wasting a first round pick on what they had. On top of that, like, I get where you're coming from the touchdowns and stuff like that, but like, this team still made the playoffs last year. Like, it made the playoffs last year with him producing like that. And you're making the assumption of the pieces that they're adding, like they've been injury prone in the past. Like, we've talked about injury prone players, and we always mention the fact, like, it was with CMC, it was Tony Pollard, like, they have to be healthy. But every new season, we assume everybody's going to be 100% healthy. If they're all 100% healthy, this team got better. So I just don't understand how they dramatically now go from an 8 or 9 win team to they're going to win 3 games, man. 3 games.
The guy running.
I don't see that. If Saquon Barkley does not go back, you won't hear me say another word about what you said. If he doesn't come back, but we can't just sit here and assume like it was the same.
Why would Saquon put his body on the line and play for New York for not getting paid, but they're going to pay the guy who has almost less touchdowns?
I agree with that. I agree that was a dumb decision, but it doesn't change the fact that their team still got better overall unless he doesn't come back. That is the only thing. That is the only thing that changes this team and makes it worse than last year. Is if Saquon
go sit out, my guy.
As a contract dispute.
Saquon, come over Chi-Town. We'll pay you nice and well.
They should.
I'm strong with this. After I was looking at the team and doing my research, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, yeah, it was a freak that they started off hot last year, in the NFL season, and they got some lucky bounces, some 1-score games. So I'll give you that. Luck's got to run out sometime. All right, New York, you had your chance. Sorry, our good friend Daniel Brown. Like, I think he'd be crazy on this podcast, but I have him at my 4 slot. You can keep him at your 3,
I
whatever.
mean,
But
they made the playoffs last year and they were 0-5 against Dallas and Philadelphia combined. To me, in this division, NFC East is always a weird one. I don't think that they lose every game against Philly and Dallas again. I think that like on paper they should go over against them again, but I just don't think it'll happen naturally with how this division plays out. And so if they're able to steal a few there, again, I think just overall they've gotten better. I haven't looked at their schedule to see how they start out because I'm with you on your point about them getting a fast start last year. They didn't have the strongest of schedules starting out, but I
yeah,
mean,
I
wins
mean, some of the teams that
wins.
they play, Yank, they play the Seahawks, they play your Dolphins, L. They play the Bills, L. They play the Pats, L. They play the Rams,
I
L.
mean, they could beat the Packers. I mean, the Pats. They could beat the. I mean,
They
Rams.
do play the Packers.
See, yeah, they could
They
beat.
play
Yeah.
San Francisco. Like they got a hard schedule.
Okay. So that's. I mean, that's different. It's
That's
different. But at the same time, like
both
I
my
said,
picks.
I'm not gonna say like 3 wins is just disrespectful. Disrespectful. If
Bummer.
Saquon Barkley doesn't show up, fine. If he shows
Okay,
up,
okay,
if he
Yank.
shows up, they're winning at least you got to give them 6. Jesus.
All right, change my mind. I'll give them 4 wins. Give you 4.
All right. We'll go with that.
So I guess that leaves
Do
our
you have them at 3 in the division still, though?
no, they're still at 4.
You have them at 4?
Yes, they are last because the Commanders gonna have a nice 5-12 season. That's my number 3 team. They're gonna have a nice. That's why I said this division isn't like too crazy good because the 2 teams at the bottom will be at the bottom.
But the Commanders still have a possible top 5 defense, right?
And who's their quarterback? Who's their running back?
Well, that's the biggest question on the board. What will Sam Howell be good enough?
Okay, here's my thing about the Commanders, Jake. Let me go on my tangent. My what do you call them?
There's talent around him.
Okay, so you have Sam Howell, not a proven quarterback. Yeah, there's some things. He looked kind of decent. He's gonna go win you 1 or 2 games, right? And I feel like some contract to curve thing's gonna go crazy. The typical Commander way. He's gonna get hurt. Then Jacoby Brissett. Oh snap! The best backup possibly. He's up there, top 5 best backup of all time. Jacoby Brissett gonna go win you a game. Then something's gonna go crazy. I got Jake Fromm from years ago. He was on QB1 back in the day. He's gonna come in, win you a game. And then it's gonna go back to Sam Howell. He's gonna start losing some games. It's gonna be crazy quarterback carousel for the Commanders. They're gonna win 5 to 6 games. All right. So I think they all get like a win. But you look around them, Brian Robinson, like I like it, 800 yards and 3 touchdowns, like still like gonna be nice, but is that gonna be such a big price that they're gonna start winning ball games with him? I don't think so. Right. Wide receivers. All right. Scary Terry. McLaurin he's a real deal. 1,100 yards, 5 tutties. He's your jersey seller. He's the one that people want to go see on Sundays. Now, Dotson, 507 touchdowns. Like, okay, like Dotson at wide receiver 2. I like it. Curtis Samuel, 604 touchdowns. Like,
Hang on. What was the stat on Dotson?
507 touchdowns.
But you don't like Brandon Cooks at 700 plus yards and him at number 2. Okay. I'm just gonna point that out. Okay.
For Braden Cooks?
Yeah.
Braden Cooks, what do you have? Sorry, I'm going back. Yeah, 700 for 3 touchdowns. Man, I'll take 700. Yeah, that's wide receiver 1 numbers. He had to be wide receiver 1. He ain't gonna be wide receiver 1, so his
Okay,
700 yards is gonna fall dramatically. And Dotson's a wide receiver 2. And he did that at the wide receiver 2 slot. Curtis Samuel, 600 for 4 touchdowns. Logan Thomas, I don't know why he's so hyped, but he had 300 yards and a touchdown.
He's another one of those like unicorns. Like he has the talent and the size, and he's a physical specimen. He's amazing, but he's never on the field for more than like 5 games a year.
Exactly. So I don't really like that. And the O line isn't jaw dropping. And like comeback player of the year, Chase Young, like he's going to be coming back playing on this defense. Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, like 8 sacks, 7.5 sacks. Kendall Muller, 3 interceptions. Their defense is nice, but that offense isn't going to be able to compete and keep track with some of those high powered offenses. Defense is going to help them out.
I mean,
That's why they're above the Giants.
some of the high powered ones. I mean, I get that, especially with such inexperienced a quarterback and us knowing so little about Sam Howell. But if
And that's
he's
the
any
part.
type of consistent, any type of decent, I do believe that talent around him is solid. I mean, Scary Terry is scary. Terry McLaurin's real.
New York.
I mean, Brian Robinson. I mean, anybody that runs out of the tunnel to many men after actually being shot, you are real, sir. You are absolutely certified. On top of that, you got Gibson that kind of plays the second back and hybrid receiver role. You got Curtis Samuel, who last year was his first year back after the injuries and everything else, and I thought he played pretty dang decent.
Better than Brady
Now you're
Cook.
going to give him a full off season. I like that. Like you said, Dotson. I look at him. You're talking about number two. I look at him as their number three, and I think that's incredible. So I look at that. Logan Thomas, if he can ever stay healthy. Chase Young, same thing. If he stays healthy, I mean, we're talking about him as comeback player of the year if DeMar Hamlin wasn't a thing. But I mean, aside from that, I think that he's a top elite defensive talent, absolutely somebody that they're going to game plan for. You talked about the pass rush around him. You talked about the linebacker play. I mean, you draft Emmanuel Forbes at quarterback out of Mississippi State. I mean, that's a solid scout right there. I mean, I like it. I like it. I still have them at fourth in the division. It's definitely in rebuild
You
process.
hyped up the Commanders way more than the Giants.
No, I
You
did
put them
not.
at 4.
I did
How? You said all better things. Like that was such a
What are
more
you talking
positive
about?
outlook.
I literally talked about what the Giants added that was better. Sorry, because you went on a 15-minute rant and you were blinded by your hate of the Giants. No,
I
no.
love the Command. I think I do like the Commanders. I think they aren't going to be no slouch, but I think they do lose a lot of those close games this year. Just because like they don't have the stars, the guys you're picking up in fantasy first. But like they got
And yeah, there's not crazy star talent, but like I said, the talent around him isn't bad. It's just going to be a question of how good is Sam Howell. I know nothing about him other than what we saw in college. And again,
North
how
Carolina.
many of us were watching him play at North Carolina?
Not much, which I'm trying to watch more college ball myself because I absolutely love football. Well, that's it. You have Philly, Dallas, New York, and Washington, and mine is only switched from Washington at 3 and New York at the bottom. I am like very, very
You're
confident.
lucky. You lucky we didn't get TV around here right now, man.
I
Oh,
know we'd be
you'd
so
be
talking.
mad.
And like that didn't have anything to do with that. I just look at this paper, man, and I'm like, there's no way, especially with Saquon like not getting paid, and there's stuff about that like it's blasphemous.
I do worry. I mean, that's the biggest worry. It has to be like not just him showing up, but also like his relationship with the teammate. Like I understand team chemistry. It's a big thing.
Hey, you're my best player. I ain't gonna pay you. See you later. You had your best season.
I agree. It was a dumb decision on their part to pay Daniel Jones with the stats that
I
he
love
had.
Brian Dable. Love him. Fantastic coach.
And we've seen what happened when Barkley wasn't in the lineup. Like Daniel Jones' numbers are terrible when Saquon Barkley is not in the lineup. So I get it.
I mean, my last thing about this whole division, yeah, they have Chase Young. I totally forgot about, like DeMar Hamlin. Like if he plays and actually has a good season, not even a good season. Like if he just makes it through the entire season, that'll be great. We joked around on this podcast that Alex Smith comeback player of the year after his gruesome injury. We might have to add another title like the Alex Smith comeback player of the year, sponsored by DeMar Hamlin player of the year. Like you don't have to add another thing on there, but I'm excited. It just gets me more excited for football. Like, come on now.
Right.
Season's gonna be right around the corner.
We're only a few days away. Camp
56
start
days.
on Tuesday.
56 days to the first Sunday kickoff.
Camp start on Tuesday. We got Hard Knocks following the Jets this year.
I hate it.
God.
Here, well, that is everything. Like I said, my hot takes. I'm gonna go win fantasy last week. This week, I mean, we can keep it. Giants, like I might have to do a jersey bet for the Giants to like get.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have
and I'll go buy a Saquon Barkley jersey. Like that might be my new jersey bet. I might have a lot of these jersey bets.
I'll come in here
like God's
we
about to be full and Haley's about to be getting mad.
I'll come in here and just be so ugly and just be like, if they beat that record, Daniel Jones jersey, it's coming to my doorstep, bro. Like, oh god.
You might. We'll pencil it in as something we'll have to talk about.
But all right, buddy. Any more hot takes? Last final words? You all good?
Nope. Keep on subscribing. Keep on checking it all out.
Winning the division right there. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna get to it. If you're talking sports, just a matchup. Mickey here with Zizzy. We cutting it up. Just a couple of athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is. The Mickey Zizzy podcast. Have a good day, everybody. Peace.